Xiaji was a total straight guy, but he chose to work as a bartender at a gay bar, simply because it was the only part-time job he could find near campus. However, more than a year had passed, and he remained as straight as an arrow, completely unaffected by all the guys around him. Whenever someone hit on him, he just had to put on a girly voice and say sweetly, "But I'm a bottom who can't talk," and he'd successfully dodge that bullshit, because 90% of the guys who came to this bar were bottoms. Until one day a devastatingly handsome man walked into the bar. The moment he entered, the whole bar went wild. Even though Xiaji was straight, he was still mesmerized by that face. Blushing, he whispered to the man, "First time here. Hope you have fun." The man looked at Xiaji with an amused smile. Customers kept coming up to ask for the man's number, but he never gave them a second glance. Just stayed at the bar counter. Xiaji wondered, was this gorgeous guy just here for the free wife? Until Xiaji handed over the man's 10th drink. When the man took the glass, he brushed against Xiaji's finger. Xiaji jerked back like he'd been electrocuted, quickly pulling his hand away. The man acted like nothing happened, just smiled at Xiaji. Xiaji's brain short. Could this gorgeous guy actually be interested in him? But he was straight, so he nervously retreated to the other end of the bar, pretending to wipe down tape. The man handed back his empty glass again, with a thick stack of cash underneath. Xiaji's eyes lit up. That's way too much of a tip. But then, he thought about it. Tips this big usually come with strings attached. Looking up, he saw the man staring right at him. Xiaji's heart started racing, and he panicked, shrinking into the corner of the bar, thinking about how this cold beauty had rejected so many people, but only had eyes. He felt kind of flattered. Too bad he was straight, destined to disappoint this beauty. After calming down, Xiaji stood up trying to look composed, put on his girly voice and walked over. "Big brother, I can't be cute." But the man leaned in close to Xiaji and whispered, "I'll take care of that." Xiaji's first reaction was, "Oh my, is this really happening?" But he quickly realized something was wrong. How could he be thinking like this? Had he been bewitched by the man's looks? So he turned away, refusing to look at the man, but still couldn't help sneaking another peek at him. Curved eyebrows, a fox-like face, and when he smiled it was absolutely captivating. Xiaji fell under his spell again. He slapped himself hard. "Hit it together. Don't be fooled by his looks." That's what he told himself. But the truth was, tempted by both money and beauty, he ended up taking the tip. Xiaji followed the man out of the bar in a daze. Maybe it was the cool night air that brought back some of his sense. When the man led him to the car, he finally found the courage to tell the truth. "Listen, I'm actually straight. I was wrong to deceive you." But the man didn't believe Xiaji was straight, and kissed him direct. Xiaji's eyes went wide. But he tripped on the steps. Aaron crashed to the ground. He immediately looked back at the man warily. The man was about to help him up, but seeing Xiaji's expression, he stayed where he was. Xiaji stumbled away, while the man watched his retreating figure, his eyes unreadable. Back in his dorm, Xiaji lay on his bed, still shaking. His heart was still pounding. He never expected that his first kiss, saved for 20, would be stolen by that fox. What scared him most was that he got turned on. He rushed to the bathroom for a shower, undressing while trying to comfort himself. There was no need to dwell on this. After tonight he wouldn't go back to that bar, and he'd never see that man again. So he just pretended it never happened. Just as he said that, something fell from his pants pocket. Looking at the tip money scattered on the floor, Xiaji's heart sank. How could he forget to return the money? What made it even worse was that since that night, he'd been dreaming about kissing that man for several nights in a row. He was going crazy. So during a break from volunteering at school, he called his best friend. After rambling for a while, his friend came to a conclusion. "Xiaji, you might be gay." Xiaji jumped up. "I'm not buying your nonsense." Just then he heard his teacher's voice nearby. Xiaji looked up and saw his teacher leading a research team toward him, and the team leader was none other than that fox-faced man. He couldn't let the man see him, but he slid and tumbled down the steps one by one. With a series of pain, he successfully landed right in front of the man, with one hand still gripping the man's leg tightly. When the man saw who it was, his eyes lit up. But Xiaji had only one thought: "I want to move to another planet." The young man kept insisting he was straight, but when the man kissed his cheek, his hands and feet were... The man reached out to help Xiaji up. Xiaji was about to take his hand, but suddenly remembered, got up on his own, covered his butt and ran away. The man didn't seem embarrassed, his gaze following Xiaji as he ran off. This scene puzzled the teacher. Shen Ying had never been so enthusiastic about anything. In the bathroom, Xiaji leaned his head against the wall, tears streaming. He'd just made a complete fool of himself. Then he heard footsteps. His nemesis had followed him like a persistent. Running now would be too obvious. So Xiaji tried to look calm and pressed himself against the wall, staying frozen even when the man walked right up to him, though his eyes secretly glanced down. Half a second later he muttered and walked away. "Ah, show off much." "Little Shasha." The man's voice came from behind. Xiaji turned around and glared at him. "Don't call me little Shasha. My name is straight like straight guy." He thought he'd made his hint clear enough, but the man just leaned close to his ear without missing a beat. "I'm Shen Ying." Xiaji decided to stop pretending. He wanted to clear things up with Shen Ying right here. After checking all the stalls, to make sure no one else was in the bathroom, Xiaji slammed the door shut. At the same time, Shen Ying's hand reached over to helpfully turn the lock cock. Xiaji found himself trapped in Shen Ying's arms, with the man's magnetic voice in his ear. "Little G, you can do whatever you want." Xiaji steadied his racing heart and pulled out the tip money from his pocket. In his mind, once he returned the money to Shen Ying, they'd be even. But Shen Ying said he didn't want it. As they were at a stand, they suddenly heard keys jingling outside, and two men walked in. At that moment, in one of the stalls, Xiaji was trembling in Shen Ying's arm. He didn't want to be so close to Shen Ying, but the stall was just that small. He frantically covered Shen Ying's mouth, begging him not to make a sound. But Shen Ying licked his palm, making Xia Ji quickly pull his hand back. He must be crazy to panic and lock himself in with this devil. Hearing the people outside leave, Xia Ji hurriedly opened the door, ready to make his escape. But Shen Ying grabbed him back. Shi Ji was trapped between the door and Shen Ying's body. Shen Ying looked fierce, so Shi Ji immediately, listen, I didn't mean to deceive you. I really am straight. Shen Ying founded it more. He moved closer to Xia. Then let me test that for you. His eyes immediately darkened. Xia Ji was too scared to move. The next second, Shen Ying wrapped an arm around his waist and planted a kiss on his cheek. Xia Ji's face turned bright red. His hands and feet went limp. When the tip money slipped from his hands, he snapped out of his daze. Shen Ying quickly caught all the bills, but stuffed them back into Xia Ji's pocket. While brushing against Xia Ji's waist, he really didn't understand what Shen Ying was doing. Don't touch my waist. And this money is yours anyway. What am I, a bank? Does keeping it with me earn Shen Ying didn't explain. Just took a phone call and headed for the door. Xia Ji wanted to argue with Shen Ying some more, but was stopped by a senior. I've been looking for you forever. The venue side hop is about to start. Take these things over there. 对了, I just saw you walking behind that tall, handsome guy. So tonight you'll be responsible for taking the team to the hotel. Xia Ji dragged the supplies toward the venue while crying inside. Senior, you're pushing your junior down the wrong path. In the venue, Shen Ying immediately drew everyone's attention when he stepped onto the stage. He wasn't just good, but also mature and composed when speaking, giving off an aura of complete trustworthiness. Xia Ji was once again captivated by Shen Ying's excellence, while his classmate beside him had a totally smitten expression. Wow, such a mysterious heartthrob. Hearing this made Xia Ji scratch at his desk. Mysterious, my butt. He's clearly a male. The female classmate suddenly remembered that Xia Ji was in charge of this handsome guy, and begged Xia Ji to help her get Shen Ying's WeChat, and if possible, take some close-up photos. Hundreds of girls in the group chat were waiting to see that. Looking at his female classmate's infatuated expression, Xia Ji really wanted to tell her that Shen Ying was gay, but just thought about it. He couldn't even bear to look at the sparkle in the girl's eyes, and reluctantly said he'd try his best. That night, Xia Ji was asked to take Shen Ying's team back to the hotel, but when he went to pick, only Shen Ying was left. The innocent little kitten was being played by the old fox, going further and further down the wrong path. Walking alone with Shen Ying, Xia Ji felt very anxious. Shen Ying to walk fast. When getting in the taxi, he chose to sit in the front passenger seat. He wasn't about to sit in the back with a devil like Shen Ying, but Shen Ying was just so good. Xia Ji couldn't help stealing glances at him through the mirror. Shen Ying had long noticed Xia Ji's peek, but pretended not to, actually enjoying being watched by Xi Zhang. They quickly arrived at the hotel arranged by the school. When getting out, Xia Ji asked the driver for a receipt. Shen Ying was a bit. If Xi Zhang was so short on money, why wouldn't he accept his money? Xia Ji's answer was that the money wasn't rightfully his. Hearing this, Shen Ying stopped walking. He suddenly leaned close to Xia. You can make it rightfully yours. Shen Ying kept getting close, forcing Xia Ji to back away, until he was pressed against the wall. He stomped on Shen Ying's approaching foot, stammering. Listen, I don't do that kind of business. Shen Ying started his game. I don't do that business either, but I want to kiss you. The one during the day counts. Deducted from the tip. When it's all used up, I'll stop bothering you. That way you make money, and don't lose anything. Didn't you say you're straight? Then at least prove it to me, and prove it to yourself too. Xia Ji was confused by the logic, and actually thought it made some sense. But he didn't agree right away, saying he needed to think about it. But the next night after he dropped Shen Ying off at the hotel, Shen Ying suddenly dragged him to a small corner next to the hotel, and kissed him dominantly. The tea until some girls nearby gasped in surprise. He snapped back to reality. Shen Ying then buried himself in Shen Ying's eye. Shen Ying looked toward the source of the sound, with a trace of blood still on his lip, combined with his cold stare, scared the girls into running away. When he looked back at Xia Ji was already making fuss. I haven't agreed yet. How could you do that? Shen Ying wiped the blood from his lip with his finger. I had to get a taste first. You've got quite a bite. Xia Ji threw his kitty punches. So you were sampling the goods. Then this one definitely counts. Shen Ying immediately agreed. Seeing Shen Ying's big smile, Xia Ji realized he'd been tricked. But if he didn't agree, wouldn't he be taken advantage of for nothing? So reluctant, he grudgingly agreed. That night Xia Ji analyzed his situation to his best friend. His friend had always thought Xia was naturally gay, but when he heard the foxman's name was Shen Ying, it sounded somehow familiar, though he couldn't quite place it. The next day the wound on Shen Ying's mouth caught his teammates' attention. Shen Ying explained it was from a little kitten bite, while meaningfully glancing toward a certain spot, where the little kitten himself was standing. Xia Ji grabbed his drink and walked away, muttering about that damn little kitten comment. That afternoon the little kitten was